Harriet Tubman is without question the Moses of our people. But why is that? You're talking about a woman who knew firsthand the evils and the dreadful stench of institutionalized slavery in America, born on the plantation in the eastern shore of Maryland, mistreated in every possible way, decided that she wasn't going to wait for someone to give her freedom. She took it herself. And she migrated north to Philadelphia, other places, using a system known as the Underground Railroad with the assistance of the Quakers and others who were very sensitive to the plight of persons of African descent here in the United States. We are unsure because the Underground Railroad was intended to be underground in every sense of the word. We are unsure of the exact stops that Harriet Tubman used. In many respects, nothing was written down on purpose, so she could not be tracked. But we do know that as you trace the trajectory, the pattern of Harriet Tubman's 13 to potentially 19 trips northward, they always passed through New York City. One thing we know is one of two places that she most certainly rested her hat, and she rested along with that precious cargo that she brought from the South northward. Reverend Henry Ward Beecher's church in Brooklyn Heights, known as the Plymouth Church, and Mother AME Zion Church, right here in New York City. How can we rest assured of that? In 1859, when Harriet Tubman finally decided that she was not going to make any more trips south, well, the way that she had been doing it, she rested in a town in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region known as Auburn, New York. And while there in Auburn, New York, she purchased property, I think about 15 acres. She opened up a retirement home for retired persons who had escaped slavery, but they haven't managed to escape old age. They had nothing upon which to live on, and she built this home called the Home for the Aged, where she spent her life taking care of people who worked the clock for others and never received a dime for it. And in that town, there was an AME Zion Church in that town known to be one of her stops as she carried persons further northward, because by this time, by 1855, 1859, the Fugitive Slave Act was in place. So it wasn't good enough for her to bring persons to Philadelphia and to New York and say you're free. Now she had to take them all the way to Canada. And so once she landed and was rooted in the town known as Auburn, she remembered there was a stop that she would use frequently. It was an AME Zion Church right there in Auburn. And she became a prominent, active member of that congregation. When that congregation rebuilt its new church in 1893, she was the main fundraiser to rebuild that Underground Railroad stop as a beautiful stick-style Victorian facility. In 1903, some 10 years before she died, she willed her home and her property to the AME Zion Church to be cared for. And from 1903 to 2019, we are still the very proud custodians of that property and the Harriet Tubman legacy.